With the 23rd pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the Buffalo Bills select Kaiir Elam, defensive back, Florida.
Yeah, they need a corner. Tre'Davious White's going to miss a little bit.
Welcome into Bills Draft Special presented by Caesars Sportsbook. Maddy Glab and Bills insider Chris Brown here to tell you everything you need to know about the newest member of the Buffalo Bills. And night one of the 2022 NFL Draft has certainly been interesting. A lot of trades. And the Buffalo Bills decided to get in on the trade action as well as they trade up to number 23 and they give away their number 25 and number 130 pick to the Baltimore Ravens. So we want to welcome cornerback Kaiir Elam to the Buffalo Bills. We thought cornerback was where Buffalo might go in this NFL draft. You know, Tre'Davious White is rehabbing from that ACL injury. Levi Wallace no longer a part of the Buffalo Bills. So that leaves a void there at corner, and Kaiir Elam is a candidate who can definitely fill in that void for the Buffalo Bills. A longer corner, 6'2", 196 pounds. He played in 35 games, started in 26 games at Florida. He was a junior this past season, had 6 total interceptions in his career, 26 passes defense. A longer physical corner. You think about him going up against some of the wonderful wide receivers in the AFC. And you like a guy like this because of his length, because of what he can offer, because of the physical specimen that he is.
Yeah, and we thought corner made too much sense here. And with the run on wide receivers that we saw earlier in the draft, the run basically started up around 10 and continued. So the value very quickly disappeared at wide receiver. That was clearly not going to be an option down where the Bills were in the 20s. So corner, though, by that fact, had value, and you looked at teams going up to get corners. The Bills weren't the first team to go up and get corners. Kansas City jumped all the way up from 29 to 21 in a trade with New England to get Trent McDuffie out of the University of Washington. You have to believe that impacted the Bills' decision to make a move themselves to go up from 25 to 23. They give up a 4th-round pick to do it to ensure they get their guy Kaiir Elam. And the Bills are one of 6 trades that have happened so far in round one, and it's not even
wild.
done yet.
Yeah, we are at number 25 right now. The Baltimore Ravens are on the clock. They're making their pick, which would have been the Buffalo Bills pick if they did not trade up in the NFL draft. So, Kaiir Elam, how does he fit with the Buffalo Bills? What do you like about his game from what you've seen on tape? Yeah,
I mean, he's a press man corner. I think he's got to learn about some of the zone concepts because they didn't do a lot of that with him at Florida. They basically had him press man some of the best receivers for the opponent each and every week. But for more on Kaiir, we should go to the guy that's been crunching tape on him for the better part of the last 3 weeks. We have senior producer from NFL Films Greg Cosell joining us. And we've talked to you already about Kaiir Elam on the One Bills Live show, Greg. But what do we think about him transitioning to the Bills defense, knowing there is a good deal of zone played here, and he played an awful lot of press man?
He did, but I think Buffalo plays a little more a little more man than people might think. You guys know that.
Yeah.
I thought he was a 1st-round prospect for sure. He's over 6'1". He's long. His 40-yard dash time was 4.39. I said when I wrote him up in my transition that he transitions to the next level with his high-level traits profile for the outside corner position. He was a boundary corner at Florida, meaning he played to the short side of the field. He has ideal length. He's physical. He plays with competitiveness. There's a swagger to him. He feels he can match up clearly when you watch the tape with any receiver. He can play the 2 forms of press man, which are physical press man where you jam, and he's strong. And he can also play mirror match press man where you let the receiver declare his release and then you get in his hip pocket one way or the other. He has the size, length, athleticism, speed, competitiveness profile that all NFL teams want at corner these days. So I figured when I saw that the Bills had traded, particularly since, Chris, and you just mentioned this, particularly since Kansas City had gone for McDuffie, who I like a lot as well. We discussed him a week or so ago,
right,
that they were going for a corner because you're going to start to lose guys that I think you would feel really comfortable with. Maybe Kyler Gordon from Washington, but Elam is is probably a better prospect in terms of the traits.
Kaiir Elam, you talk about him being a better prospect with the traits. How do you think the size weighs in here? Because when you look at the corners that could have gone off the board and have already gone off the board in the first round, there were some longer corners. Trent McDuffie doesn't necessarily fit that build, but Kaiir Elam was a guy that had a lot of length. How do you see that helping him once he transitions to the NFL, going up against some really talented receivers in the AFC conference?
Well, Maddy, length always helps when you're a corner because, the ability to play the ball. Playing the ball is critical. We always think of playing the ball as guys make interceptions, but you can be a corner and theoretically just be beat by a little bit. And if you're a 5'9" or 5'10" corner, you don't have the arm length or the length to play the ball. And when you have height, he was 6'1.5", 191 at the combine. When you have that kind of length, you can play the ball. And that is so critical. And obviously, what we're seeing in the AFC now, particularly in the AFC East, we're seeing teams really look for wide receivers. It's going to be better than it has been. We see what Miami did. We see what the Jets did. So you need corners, and you need two. You really need three. They have the slot corner in Teron Johnson, who they paid, I guess, a year or so ago, so he'll be the slot corner. Although Elam did play snaps in the slot later in the season this year in 2021, but he's an outside corner at his core, and he's a physical corner. And look, in this league, I agree with Chris. He'll have to learn more about zone concepts and receiver splits, because don't forget, when you're playing the boundary corner, it's a little different in college for sure. So he'll have to learn about receiver splits, route combinations, eye discipline, leverage, those kinds of things. That's normal for corners to learn. But the bottom line is, in the NFL, at some point, more often than not these days, you have to line up and play press man, and he can do that.
All right. Thanks very much, Greg. We appreciate the time.